Hello. I think I've got a hot mic. It's okay. You guys can hear everything we're doing. Good morning, everyone. Well, apparently my microphone was on. So I don't know what you heard, what you didn't hear. It's all good with me. Hold on. Hold on. Hot mic. This is great. This is great. So, okay. So how long have you guys heard what I was talking? I need an answer. I need an answer right now. How long have you heard? You didn't hear anything? It was completely quiet? Oh, oh, seriously? Maybe I just clicked a button and it said it was on. I don't know. Here, hold on one second. I'm not embarrassed of my life. You can hear everything I'm doing. Oh, nothing other than hearing you ask the Duchess, huh? Huh. Well, that lets you know how quiet it is in here. It really is. It makes here, hold on, let me get up close to the microphone. It really makes a big difference to have this thing set up proper. Guys, I was talking to you in an empty wood floor office with like nothing on the walls to stop the sound from echoing. I had fans going in the background in the window and stuff. So now it's like I'm actually sitting in something that I think sounds just makes it sound so much better. Okay, all right. Didn't hear anything you were outside. It's all right. All you may have heard was maybe like a cat, maybe, or me talking to a cat, or again, you might have heard me say, "Huh?" to the Duchess. Okay, good, good. Well, good morning to you. It is, well, afternoon almost. It's 11:27 a.m. Central Time on the 4th of June, 2025. And just really quick, the stream apparently froze overnight. I didn't see it freeze, but I came to my computer this morning. I couldn't move my mouse, so I guess something happened. So we're doing okay, knock on wood, but we do have some seismic activity taking place up in the northwest, up in Idaho, up here in the Challis Reserve. Now, this is, as my longtime viewers know, this is above the deepest part of the magma chamber feeder for Yellowstone supervolcano, which is over here at the Wyoming border. So where this 2.2 is, that's inside of Yellowstone National Park, just one lone earthquake there. And normally, I mean, every day Yellowstone gets hundreds of small tremors as the magma chamber produces small vibrations, which are tremors. They're like earthquakes, but these are actual fractures, actual earthquakes, and a huge stack of them you see. We've got, let me turn it down to the zeros so you can get all the smaller earthquakes incorporated. It could just goes way up off the screen. Huge stack of earthquakes there. We call that an earthquake swarm when this takes place. When you get this many in one spot, it's like a swarm of bees coming out of their hive. So in this case, this is above the deepest part of the magma chamber for Yellowstone. And so I associate earthquake swarms here with the park all the way over here, which is also getting a little outbreak of zeros, ones, and so forth. And these are all earthquakes. These are not tremors. So not to be associated with the magma in the chamber down below at Yellowstone. But overall, the magma chamber from here up to the surface here at the park is moving. And why is it moving? Well, there's a seismic wave, if you want to think of it like that, that's passing through this area. And you see the arrows on here, it kind of let you know which way it's all pointing. And then we back it out, and you'll see across the state of Utah, we also have somewhat of the same thing going on. Small little outbreaks, again, little stacks of earthquakes, 3 or 4 in each spot, almost swarms. So we're almost swarming here, and we certainly are swarming up here, and it all kind of be traced back over to the west and northwest. And it comes from the Juan de Fuca fracture zone out off the coast, this lightning bolt Z or S shaped fracture zone here off the coast. And that's where the axial seamount is, right here where the arrow is pointing to, out here off the coast. And the axial seamount was supposedly getting ready to erupt, according to professionals. They talked about that a few months ago now at this point. But let's just turn on the display capture so you can see my mouse. Right here is where the axial seamount is, and it erupted 10 years ago. It's an undersea volcano there, really big, very impressive looking undersea, of course. It's not coming up And we're not worried about it blowing up in some kind of massive blast. It's more of one of these large undersea lava flows that takes place. Then, while this thing's shifting and moving and we get eruptions out here off the coast, we tend to see a compensation come into the edge of the North American craton. And I've talked about that at length, the craton, for a long time, but just understand that the arrows kind of outline the edges of the deformed exterior and interior of the craton. And the seismic wave goes down and around and follows up to the northeast. So we start over here with a big push, basically, and then the push goes across and it drops off earthquakes along the way. And we see swarming up here. We know that it's really moving. Something's really pushing into North America. And that's what we're seeing now. So the wave is pushing into North America, the seismic wave. It's going over to Yellowstone. It's going across Utah. It's all pointing towards Colorado and Texas. So Colorado should see a new break in southern Colorado, central Colorado, but I would look towards southern Colorado down by Trinidad and all the drill points down in southern Colorado. And they tend to attract the seismic wave, the drill points. Also, volcanoes and natural faults attract the seismic wave as well. But in this case, all of these earthquakes in Texas are at the drill points again, going from West Texas, right at the border of New Mexico, right across through Midland, and getting out into central Texas. If we look up any one of these quakes, it takes us in next to an oil and gas drill point. Oil or gas drill point, I don't know which, but they all kind of have the same gear at the surface. You have jacks, pumps, tanks, pipelines. Now, the big change here is Oklahoma. Today, look, 0.9. Now, do we have a network outage or something going on across the United States to justify this, or is this real? Are we really looking at a complete drop off in earthquakes in Oklahoma? If that's the case, we have one earthquake, let's see, on the 3rd yesterday, in the last 24 hours. So let's just look at the last, there we go. So here's the last basic day. This is highly irregular for Oklahoma to go completely quiet. Let's just put it this way. I've been covering this for 15 years. And since day one, when I started, we had outbreaks like Texas across Oklahoma every day. I don't recall one day that we went by where Oklahoma didn't have an earthquake, a little outbreak of something, 0, 1, 2, something. So to have nothing since, when is this one? Again, June 3rd at 2031 UTC. So almost 24 hours with not a single quake in Oklahoma. Bizarre. Bizarro world. I don't have an explanation for it. The only thing that would cause this well, there's two things that I could think of. One, a network outage. They cut the feed completely. There's some kind of error or something's going on or they're working on something, and we just don't get any seismic feed out of Oklahoma for some reason, which would be extremely weird, right? Okay. So that, I'll kind of rule that out. I'll say it's possible, but unlikely. So then, naturally speaking, we're on the edge of the craton. We got big movement going on over here. Obviously, look at the swarming going on. And it goes over to the edge of the craton and then down to Texas. And right about there, it looks like it's kind of puttering out, right? But that's not good. We want to see, and I've said this for 15 years, we want to see the flow go all the way across the plate, go up to the northwest, and if it has to, go all the way out and intersect out at the Azores. We want the wave to escape out of North America. When the wave is trapped in the plate, it bounces back and forth like a wave in a pool. And if you've ever been in a swimming pool with somebody making waves on their raft or something, and they jump up and down and they send the wave out and it goes across the pool and it reflects off the wall of the pool and it comes back to them. And if they do it right and time it right, when the wave comes back to them, they can do it again, greater or less, and it keeps that wave going. It's called a standing wave. And if they do it enough, everybody starts getting big waves in the pool. And well, the same thing happens here when the wave reflects off itself. It reflects back into itself. And then we're getting another push coming from over here, and it goes and reflects off itself and reflects off the plate into itself. We see a buildup in power. That's an amplitude increase. Simply put, it's like turning up the volume knob on a speaker system. So you're turning up the amp, you're amping it up, you're turning up the power as you're reflecting it back into itself. A feedback loop is another example. Think of Jimi Hendrix alongside of a guitar at a speaker system, and he's doing the feedback loop with audio and electronics. Well, this is an electric wave in the plate, and we're talking about an acoustic wave of sorts that's bouncing through here. Sounds complex, but simply put, guys, a wave reflecting into itself builds up. And when it builds up, we then see a break. Just like a speaker system will eventually blow the speaker itself when it can't contain the power that's put through it. Same thing could be said for this. It can't contain the power that it gets put through it, and it breaks with an earthquake or an outbreak. And right now, nothing to talk about here. That's highly bizarre. So I'd like to actually look up where the last quake happened. Maybe they cut the feed. Maybe there's some weird something at the location, some government facility or some kind. That's usually the only thing. No, we don't want Windows to access my location. Are you kidding me? Why would I want that? All right, let's get the info. 0. 0.9 Chickasha, Chickasha, Oklahoma. Now, that to me sounds like a Native American name. Let's just go see what is at the location. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Ooh, wow. Okay. Well, you don't have to go very far to see what's at the location. Look what is right here at the entrance to the road. This is a gas well, a frack well. Fracking is a slang term of hydraulic fracturing of the shale deep down in the earth. They drill down a few hundred, few thousand feet in many cases, and then they can drill sideways. They add attachments to the drill, and it goes down and it bends at an angle, and they can curve over and go many miles out at a horizontal, and then they come back up vertical to the surface. So we have so many of these. Look at this. I mean, they're now doing gas farming instead of regular farming along here. Every one of these squares that you see in the ground here is a different drill point for oil and gas. Now, I'm not against oil and gas, guys, but we just have to understand that when a wave is coming across an area and you drill it out like this, where every single one of these is a few thousand feet deep and goes over at an angle or straight up and down, they're acting like little antennas to capture the seismic wave that's passing through the plate. You put this many, look how many there are. I'm just randomly zooming in. But I mean, there's several hundred just right here alone. This is a large oil and gas patch, right? But it goes on and on right through here, around the city and so forth, and it goes back down around out into the middle of nowhere. They just keep on going. Over the hills and through the woods to Frack Mother's house we go. All right. Anyway, you get the idea. There's so many of them. I mean, I can just randomly go for miles and we'll then spread out and kind of dissipate on the number of drill points. And then it'll pick back up with another new patch like this. See this? See all these? Okay, let's get a zoom in on the shadow of a jack of a pump so you can see what I'm talking. There. It's like a sundial. You can see the side of the jack of the pump reflected in the shadowing. So we're getting pretty far from the earthquake, but let's go back to where the earthquake is. Our nearest drill point, let's get a measurement. Here's a house, and then right next to the house is the drill point itself. It doesn't mean that the earthquake is directly associated with this drill point. It just means that this is the nearest drill point. 0.7 miles. I guess we should do that in feet. 300 feet away. 300. Wonder if we have a street level view on this. Oh, we do. Hold on, hold on. It's pretty rare to get a street level view out in the middle of Oklahoma. Farmland. Look at it. Oh, well, frack land. Oh, both sides of the road there, are we? When was this imagery? April of 2025. Wow, that's just in the past couple months. 2 months ago, they drove by here. All right, so let's just back it out. Yeah. All right. Well, big gas patch. Somebody's getting paid there. Somebody's getting paid. That's why they do it, guys. They come through, you own the land, and they're like, well, we found some gas here. Would like to drill in at this point, too. Well, we'll pay you several $1,000s a month or more. Who would say no to that? Especially if you see it's all the way down the road already and all your neighbors have done it and everything. The whole area is just completely frail. Look at that. Each person getting a fat payout. I don't know. I mean, if you need the money, and it might be reservation land too. And I wouldn't blame them at all for, cashing in on Big Brother. Okay, so we stopped earthquakes. That's the last earthquake there since yesterday. Bizarre, I don't like it. Let's hit refresh. Bizarro world, I don't like it at all. To me, it says it's building into a significant earthquake. The wave reflecting into itself, well, you would just see a few small quakes, but where, what? Again, I don't have any other examples to go on. When you don't have any example in science, when you don't have other examples to go on, you have to suppose a few things and test them. You have to make a hypothesis. Well, yeah, that's something like a hypothesis. You have to at least come up with a suggested problem solution and then test it to see if. So we're going to wait and see if a significant earthquake strikes between Oklahoma, Texas, and Colorado in the next day or two. I wouldn't wait more than 48 hours. This is not something we have to wait weeks or months. This is not an earthquake prognostication. These have already happened. This is what's going on currently. We have 4 point something up in the Northwest, a trail of earthquakes leading down to Texas, and then stopping in Oklahoma, basically. I don't like it when earthquakes stop in areas where they normally take place regularly. Another example of that is if we get radio silence over here in the West Pacific. It's happened before, where we'll go a day or two and there's no earthquakes reported out of an area that normally has dozens of 4s and 5s per week or greater. And then we get an area where it goes quiet. That's like the calm before a storm. Something's getting ready to happen there. It's now locked, if you want to think of it like that, that it would be locked and the wave reflecting into itself, not breaking yet. It's building and building and building and building and building until it does break. And I think there's a way we could even find and listen to that wave in the plate if we installed a certain type of antenna in the ground or on the ground. A very low frequency or ultra low frequency receiver antenna about the size of a shipping pallet. So a wooden shipping pallet, what is that, like 3 feet by 5 feet or something, that you would put cargo on and put it into a truck. So something that size would be able to be installed on the ground or in the ground, and it would then pick up this electroacoustic seismic wave in the plate before it breaks. And we would see the wave build in amplitude. It would basically get louder in the ground, and you would pick it up on this antenna, and it would show on a scrolling seismo, if you want to think of it like that, on one of the the scrolling chart that would show you the building of the wave in the plate. Anyway, they don't have that yet. That's just a supposition on my part, but good times, guys. Good times. So I'll try not to have a hot mic. I think I probably unplug the microphone when I'm not talking into it, just to make sure that you guys don't hear any weird takes. I might swear from time to time, and I don't want you guys to hear that anymore. And I might say foul things too, other than swearing. Yeah, I don't want to do that either. Talking about something with my wife. I might talk crap about a family member or a friend or myself. I'm my own worst critic. I find that I'm my biggest enemy. So you might hear me talking on myself, guys. All right. It's good to be here. And sorry I wasn't here for the last week, but, it is what it is. Getting things squared away. If anything happens, I will jump back on at a moment's notice. People on YouTube are going to be getting an earthquake forecast at some point in the next day. So I'm going to have to record that. When I do that, I will record it live here on Twitch, and then we will then upload it to YouTube like old school, like we used to. Do a premiere. Try and get back into that. So it's good to be here. I'll be back. Word up. Much love, guys. Peace out.